and I took away the, yeah, I hit Ashley's screen, so now you take up half of the screen. Lovely.
I think we're live. Hey, everyone.
Oh, we're live.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to keep chatting to you, John. I think we're getting more and more people joining us every week. So I thought I'd just share the questions that we're getting coming in. We've got lots of questions coming in. Please keep sending us your questions. So
let's do our intro. Like, welcome to our Training EDU coaching podcast. I am one of your hosts, John Andrew Williams.
And I'm one of your hosts, Raj Anderson. And we're excited to be here and chat to you today.
Today we're going to look at 3 questions. So Raj has the questions. I'm in my truck. So I had an appointment here in Portland I had to get to this morning and couldn't make it back in time. But so I'm just here. My daughter's here too. There's Palma. She's reading. So it's kind of like, work with dad on the road type day as well. So you might hear raindrops too. It just started raining, which is really lovely here.
Coach's life.
All right, Raj, what are the questions?
Okay, so questions we've had come in is, how do you choose a niche and why is niche selection important? Part of the same question. And then we have the question of what is the most important first when starting your business, i.e. legal, taking payment, processing. We may cover favorite tool, and I think John might talk about books as well, kind of coaching books. Yep. We've had a special request around that. So, John, what are your thoughts on? Should we start with a niche question? Why choose a niche?
Yeah, I think that's a good place. I think, well, one, from a pragmatic standpoint, having trained a lot of coaches, I've seen the most successful coaches business-wise are coaches who have a very clear specialty. They have it clarifies your marketing. It just really helps. A lot of the business aspect of it. The thing though, it's hard about getting a specialization like this is because you're trained as a life coach. You really could train anyone on any subject at any time. That's the way coaching skills work. It's more about your curiosity, your ability to connect with people. So coaching skills are a general skill set. So I view specialty as mostly around it's a marketing and it's a business decision. And it does help your coaching, however, if you do have a specialization, because you can get specialized tools that work specifically for your target audience. That's where specialization is. It does increase your business prowess, but I view it as increasing your coaching skills because they augment what you do around your coaching skills. And that's, and this is where, for instance, when I was working as an academic life coach, I would use coaching skills for sure. But if I only use coaching skills without the workbook and the worksheets, without that structure, I would have had a lot of sessions where it was awkward. Students didn't have enough structure to play with. And so that's why I created the notebook, the workbook. Same with executive coaching. Sometimes you do want to have structures when you're working with executives so that they feel more comfortable, you feel more comfortable, but you're still using core coaching skills that can be transferable to any audience. So I view it first as a business decision. And then second, it does help your offerings, but I wouldn't look at specialization as limiting your coaching.
How did you choose your own niche, John?
It was a journey. I got trained when I was 25, 26 when I started training. And initially I thought I was going to work with just anyone, I did the anyone thing. And then I thought I would work with men specifically, and I had a couple clients. They were a decade or two older than I was, and it was interesting. And then I came to realize that I was at the time still working as a high school teacher, and it really hit me pretty hard that I felt like education was missing this kind of one-on-one interaction. And when that realization hit me, it took a long time. It took longer than it probably should have taken to have that realization. And then, once I got there, then I was getting interested in working with students as well. But that really wasn't her specialty. And then I remember one day I just was writing on this piece of paper, who do I want to coach? And literally as I was doing this, the students were filing in silently for Latin class. And I looked up and it was this moment of eureka, like, who is my audience? And I realized, well, my audience every day is high school students. I feel strongly about changing education. Like, why don't I just do this? So it had a little drama to it, and it took me a little longer than it probably should have. But once I got there, I couldn't shake it. And it started out with tentatively putting together a couple worksheets, working with a couple students in after school, and then eventually putting on, a full-blown workshop for parents and students. And that's where I got my first high school client out of that workshop, which I can go into. I can tell the story about that later, but that's it. It sort of just happened. It felt like I was in the space. And I think the best specialties were people where they're just in the space. Like, who have you worked with up to this point in your professional career? That's probably your specialty or target audience. And it could be anything from, just getting married, being thinking I want to work with people who are getting married. Or on the other hand, people who are getting divorced. I want to work with people who are in the process of getting divorced, or, whatever it is, whatever life event has happened, it feels like those are things that people can choose are most often the most powerful specialties.
And it sounds like it can help with your niche if it's something that inspires you personally, something that you are passionate about, an area where you want to make impact. It's kind of your own life's purpose, isn't it? If you're thinking about niche.
Right. I mean, you're in the same boat on the corporate side, in the executive world. When did it occur? What was the process when you knew for sure that this is your specialty?
I mean, I think for me, some of it was kind of being smart and savvy and strategic. If we think about background, I have over 10 years, 15 years experience in leadership, working in corporate, working in a background of leadership development training, leadership programs. We were kind of commissioning coaching, and also diversity and inclusion. So I was head of inclusion, head of diversity. And I really sat down and thought about what got me into that work in the first place, and my values and all the things that inspire me. So even though, and I get this question all the time from coaches, well, if I can just coach anyone, because that's what it's about, we're not supposed to be an expert, why select a niche? But for me, the niche is around leadership, women's leadership, in diversity and inclusion as well, because for me, it helps me adapt the coaching to that audience as well. And although people will find me, so, sometimes I might be working with a 12 or 15-year-old, or I might be working with somebody who's retired. It doesn't mean that other people aren't going to find me. It just means that this is something I have become known for, am increasingly becoming known for. And it helps me, as you said, to adapt tools and resources to that audience as well that I'm coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a question that people get stuck on as well, isn't it? Why do I need a niche?
Well, it's scary. Yeah, it's scary because you feel like you are saying no to large sections of the population. When I was doing it, I felt like I was saying no to working with adults. And, I had paying clients who were adults. And when I realized that I was working with students. I had to say no to working with them. However, what I quickly realized is that because I had a focus, I could craft like my whole program around that focus. I could craft my marketing, my messaging, my thoughts, ideas of how to reach people with a focus. And it immediately gave me more traction with the workshops, because then you can ask yourself the question, this is my focus audience. What are the things that they care about the most? What are their biggest problems? How can coaching help them the most? That's a really important question. And when coaches get clear on what the answers to, like what their target audience is and what the answers to those questions are, then all of a sudden marketing starts to make sense. It starts to gel together. And for me, I realized really quickly, I could only really work with 40 students at one time as a coach. Like 30 was busy, 40 was the max. And it took me about 4 or 5 years to get there, to get to 40. But in the journey of that, even, like, you can only coach so many people. And it's fascinating to feel the switch go from I'm willing to coach anybody who comes to my path to, wait a second, I only want to really work with clients who I know I can be an amazing coach for. And that's a really fascinating question to start asking yourself. And the most successful coaches I know start asking themselves that question really early on, is who can I be an amazing coach for? So your specialty isn't your own interest, your own benefit. You're like, hey, this is what I love. Like, that's fine to go there. But also looking at it empathetically, it's who am I meant to serve? Who can I serve best? That's a really powerful question. For me, in my mid-20s, it was people who are in their teens. And even today, even now, I think, yeah, like let's change the world. Let's bring coaching into education. Like, let's do it. Like, let's do it. It gets me going in a deep way that I know that it's something that I cannot ignore. It's just can't ignore it. It's the same thing too. I hear you talk about, the changes needing to happen in the corporate world, Raj. It just feels like there's another level of energy that you feel. I feel like that's when you know you're on the right path.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about, even though this is the audience that I am known to coach for, or those are the clients that, we connect, there is an energy there. And some of this is about that credibility as well. So when I'm coaching, I don't go in as that expert, but something about that for my clients creates a comfort zone, knowing that I've been there. I don't need to say that in the coaching session itself. I don't need to be sharing my expertise. I'm a consultant trainer as well, so there are other outlets for me to do that. But in a coaching session, when you've got that relationship, you design the alliance, you're helping somebody to figure out for themselves, even though they know that that's my background, it just gives me that level of credibility, gives them a comfort zone, knowing that I am the coach that they've selected is the right person for that point in their life.
Right. Yeah, interestingly enough, so I'm there teaching high school, right? And working with my 15 clients, thinking it was a lot. Even that was a lot to do both at the same time. I was busy. One of the parents of a student I was working with owned a construction company, and they were doing a lot of work with the Arbinger Institute, and a lot of the work that I was talking about with his daughter, what I was doing with her, he was thinking, wait a second, we're doing the same stuff. It's the same kind of leadership ideas, and he's seeing transformation in his daughter, thinking, this is amazing, what's happening, what's going on here. So he asked me, humble Latin high school teacher, to come in and give this presentation at his construction company. I did not know what I was doing. I just was like this. I'm a high school teacher going into this corporate thing thinking, okay, is this going to work or not? It was okay. The workshop was okay. It wasn't the best. It wasn't, it was a first try type of thing. But it was one of my first entries into the executive coaching world. And I had, at that point, it was mostly because of to the research I was doing, because the most interesting stuff happening in the coaching world often comes from the executive world, because the return on investment is so high. You have all these people who are doing these really amazing leadership programs, or trying out different coaching techniques and things like that with these executives, and if it works, it's great, and then it sort of like percolates to the other areas, and a lot of executive coaching looks to wellness coaching and all of that kind of thing is happening. So for me, getting into executive coaching on a practical level, I realized how much I had really truly specialized how I showed up for high school students and then for college students. And then now that I'm getting into the executive world, it's almost like having an ice cream shop, but then it's still ice cream, but you're just adding more flavors of the ice cream to the shop. You're just adding things. And so when you're an expert in one thing, then people assume that you can then transfer that expertise in other things, and you will get asked to do things outside your expertise. And so I gave this workshop, but it's okay. A friend of mine who was an executive coach, she was a former executive at Microsoft. She starts an executive coaching company. She asked me if I wanted to train, if I want to train some people and also be a coach on her staff, because they needed a coach in Portland, Oregon. I was there. I said yes. I worked with this internet company for a while as their executive coach, and it was good. I mean, I knew that executive coaching in the long run was not for me, but I knew I was good at it when I needed to be good at it. And that was my journey. At that point in time, I still had over 40 high school students, college students I was working with. But at that time, then I started also the training. And then that just became all consuming. And so about a 4-year period, I had to wind down my current client base because the training just became the main thing. But that was my journey, and my coaching, sort of like this crescendo, and then it just sort of, plateaued for a while, and then I had to wind it down.
John, would you say it's beneficial for coaches to add other things to their coaching services, not just coaching? Because you're talking about training and speaking, and we have to facilitate workshops. When you're out there, you've launched your business, and you might want to be inviting people in to know a bit more about what you do. You're not in pure coach mode in that moment. You are facilitating something. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so I've thought about this a lot. There are times. Well, I'm curious too, Raj, about your experience in this. There are times when I think back now to when I had my client base. I knew what I was doing each hour. I could just go and coach like 4 or 5, maybe some 6 sessions in a day, and then leave feeling like I just changed the world, like one life at a time. It was amazing. We were financially sustainable. It just was easy. It wasn't, all of it wasn't easy. We had little ones, but it was easy-ish. And sometimes I feel extreme nostalgia for that time period. And now running an organization with 15 employees and 10 contractors, that's a lot of weight. And I don't know sometimes, Raj, if I would have done all of it. We're good. I'm glad it's done, and it's, the engine's there, and the organization's lovely, and the people are amazing. But sometimes I think, there is something to just being a coach, and just that, doing just that, and I think it basically comes down to lifestyle choice, and where do you want to be? How big do you want to build it? What's the end goal? What really truly is the end goal in mind? I don't know. mean, if I were in my 60s and getting coach trained, part of me thinks, just a lovely 25 client base, client load, doing my thing, writing, making impact in that way. That might be it.
It's easy to get lost, isn't it? And try to do all things or be all things. And there's something to be said about keeping it simple. As I was asking myself the other day when I'm setting my goals for next year, and I was able to take the day off on Friday. It was Disney's 50th. We went off, we had a lovely time. And, as you grow your own business, and I was getting some messages through, I've got an assistant, and then they're talking about social media. And I thought, do I really want this? Like, what is my goal here? And I think that's the question for coaches to ask themselves, isn't it? Even right at the outset, we shift to what is the business first? Like, what is your goal? What does this look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me in my, ambitious 20s and even 30s, thinking, I want to change the world. I knew I needed an engine bigger than just me doing this. So I think, again, like the idea of what does the structure of this business need to look like, or what, what is it? The question is, how can I be best used? Where am I needed? And that, like, what's the size of the business or organization necessary for me to do the work that I feel called to do? It's a different perspective, but I feel like it's a really empowering one, even though it feels like you're asking not for your own sake. But yeah, I mean, and I'm happy we're here. I mean, I feel like the mountain has mostly been climbed. And what's possible here is really amazing. I feel like we're able to get in there and do and make this impact and do these things. But I'm not coaching every day like I used to. I wish I had more coaching clients. I love coaching. I wish I had more time for research. I love researching and writing. I just don't. It's not for me right now. So, but I'm hoping in a year from now I'll be able to design it that way.
It looks like we have a live question from Jeff. He wants to know.
Yay!
Hey Jeff, how often did you meet with those 40 students?
Every other week. Yeah. What I did was 10 sessions, and I met first 3 every week, like back to back for 3 weeks, and then every other week after that. So I was doing around 80 to 90 sessions a month.
How did you feel? Did you, was that energizing? Was it draining? What was that like for you at that time?
Oh, I loved it. I come home, and because I was working with students, it was mostly after school. So my days were scheduled with, in the mornings were admin, creative, building websites, all that kind of stuff. And then if I had a couple students, I was in the West Coast. If I had students on the East Coast, I'd meet with them over the phone, after their school hours. So that was helpful. But then the bulk of the students I worked with were in person in Portland. And I would go to different coffee shops throughout the city and then just meet with them back to back. So I'd stack 3 to 4 students a day in those coffee shops. And sometimes 5, 6 was a heavy day. But yeah, I was busy. It was like I got known at the different places, because I had my spots where I'd go. So I felt like I was a connoisseur of scouting out different libraries, coffee shops, places that were a little, busy enough that that there were still other people around, but not too busy. The sweet spot was finding a place that was happy for me to be there for that length of time and have people come in, that kind of stuff. But I mean, this is like, from 2008 to to 2012. So I was doing that. Yeah.
So I know we don't have that much time left today, but I think
we don't. Look at that.
I know. I am curious though, and I know we'll pick up more on business first next time, but so if you've got this list of things to do, you've got to launch your business, you're excited, you got certified, you're in the middle of that, you're like, right, I am ready to go out there. And we'll talk more about systems and business launches and those things. Where does the niche fit in the order of that?
I think you can let your niche come to you in a lot of ways, where you put yourself out there in different ways, and then you see what lands with the audience. See what lands. I think sometimes coaches, it's important to have one. But I'm really into this idea of creating what's the minimum viable product? What's the minimum viable thing that you can do to test whether or not your idea is going to work? So I would put on a couple. Try that. Let's say one of the most favorite specialties I've ever heard was there's a woman out of Florida. She wanted to work with high school students who were deaf. Amazing. And it's very clear very clear, specific challenges, and very, very clear where to find them. So the thing to do is put on a workshop and see if it lands. See if there's traction around that. Executive world. I know it's pretty common for people in the executive world to say I work with women in their like your specialty, Raj, work with women executives who are in leadership positions, and you get a very clear idea. Well, find them, put on workshops for them. Do they like you? Or does it make sense to be in this space? You just gotta find the minimum thing and do it. And to quickly answer the idea of the logistics of business building, in the United States, building business, so I just know US stuff. But I've looked into other countries as well. It's fascinating. The United States is pretty business friendly for startups. So you can get an LLC, register for your state for an LLC, go get a bank account once you get your registration done. And then I would charge, what I did is I just charged $50 a session, built up a client base, then got to $100 a session. And then once I got full, then I kept upping my price slowly. Towards the end, I was charging around $165 an hour, and then $210 an hour. And that's kind of where I was, that's where I stopped. What that allowed me to do was also, if there was a student I really wanted to work with or couldn't afford it, then I just gave them either some sort of scholarship or discount on it. That's how that went down. And then I did a lot of workshops for different school districts, different schools that I knew couldn't afford coaching. I would go in there and do what I could. I worked with Elevate Oregon. It was a nonprofit organization that was in a lot of those schools, and that was this crazy fulfilling work. So that's how I spent those years.
Yeah, and I think just building on from that, a few quick tips. What I'd say to people, because talking to new coaches, is don't get fixated on the niche thing. Don't let that become something that holds you back, or you start to procrastinate, because fear will kick in. We all get that fear of launching, and I often speak to coaches who might be sitting on perfection of what this is going to look like, or procrastinating, or, well, I haven't determined my niche yet. One of the things that I did was, my business LLC is actually the Anderson Center, but I don't do business as the Anderson Center. I've actually rebranded and upgraded, I'll call it, probably about 4 times now. But my bank accounts, the LLC, everything, the 401k, the retirement plans, everything is under the Anderson Center. So remember that I did that, but I do business as coachability now. There was a time when I did business as myself. So tip is, don't let the niche or those things get you stuck in the mud and stop you from moving forward.
Right. That's it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot of, yeah, I even now, I think, what's the minimum test? Like, what's the minimum thing that we can do to test whether or not this idea has legs? And it's a really helpful place to think. And now book recs, because I know we're running up against time, right? And we had a specific request for book recs. The business, my favorite business building book was E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. That was one that had a pretty big impact on me. And the impact was thinking systematically. Like, I can build my own practice, but if I think about, like, if I built my own practice thinking that we're more like a franchise and how can I help other people build it, I didn't start that right away, but even just thinking that way helped me think, like, what's the system that I could use that would consistently get me clients? Not like, it took me out of thinking, what is the amazing feat I could do this week that would get clients? Does that make sense? So even at the very beginning, I started thinking systematically about business building. That was one. Two, I read Jonathan Haidt's books. I really like Jonathan Haidt as an author. He has a couple books out there. He was a professor, and I think he's a professor at NYU now. But he writes a lot of books about neurology in the brain and morality, and recently about politics, and why people go different directions, and just the psychology of all of that. My favorite one, though, is the happiness hypothesis, where he talks about the elephant and the rider as a metaphor for our brain and mind. And I think it's an amazing read in the sense that he's a good writer, and his science is solid. And I felt like what it did for me was it helped me realize this idea that whatever's happening here surface level, there are deeper agendas here, and there's deeper stuff. And if you can get a feel for that when you're listening to executive clients, especially, it will take your coaching to another level. So those would be it. Those would be the two. And it's spelled Haidt. It's his last name, but it's pronounced Haidt. I had lunch with him once at International Positive Psychology Association. I was like a little groupie. I hung out after his speech for a while, and he had some other lunch plans, but the people didn't show up, and so he just was there solo. And so I invited him to meet with my little group, and it was so cool. I'm like, here he is, we started Haidt right here, like, kind of thing. And he was cool about it, and he was open. He's just a really down-to-earth guy. So, yeah. Anyway.
And I think one of the questions was also around books on executive coaching questions. So are there books that we can recommend on specifically around executive coaching questions? One of the things I would say is I'm always noting down what question I would ask, even from reading a book. I think it's practicing that all the time, isn't it? That curiosity and thinking what question stems to mind, or borrowed insight. John talks about kind of borrowed insight there. Observe and listen to other people and the way they ask questions as well. And I create a catalogue of all kinds of questions that I can keep in my back pocket as well. Right.
Yeah. Another book I really liked, another thing that had a big impact was Strengths Finders. I think anything around personality assessments, Strengths Finders, I feel like anything with any assessment-based stuff, it's not that you have to like say this is who I am kind of deal. I don't go that. I don't believe that much in those things, as much as it just brings up interesting stuff for people, and you're just after interesting stuff, even in the executive world. Yeah, I think Strengths Finders is great. I know this system. I know Jeff, if you're watching, probably know 20 of them I don't even know. So like, what color is your parachute? Things like that. So yeah, I'd go for it. And I wouldn't overthink it or try to go after too many catalogs of questions, as much as look for like concepts to try out. Like the elephant and the rider. Like, what's the elephant want? What's the rider want? Like, let's look at, like, think more like conceptually, as opposed to, hey, I have this list of 100 questions. Let me just try them out.
Sounds good. I think
How we doing, Raj?
time's up. I think our time's up, John.
Okay. I feel like we just go forever, like, on this stuff. I think about this stuff a lot. I really do. It's kind of fun. See how Palma's doing. See what Palma check. How's she doing? We doing good?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. All right.
Dad's put her on all live streams. Does she know you've put her on all these live
Yeah,
streams?
she knows. I got her permission ahead of time to put her on here. She has an acting class that she's in Portland, so she decided to come along for the ride. So she's there, and she has homecoming coming up, so I'm going to take her dress shopping. We'll see.
Oh,
We'll see. I know. It's so cute, right?
that sounds lovely.
We'll see if there's time. But thank you, Raj. This is lovely. Next week I'll be in the office like my usual setup. But
all right,
your stuff
lovely.
looks good. Your camera's good.
Yeah, new camera, everyone. Testing it out. So we'll see you all next week. Send us your questions.
Thanks, everyone.